Ladies and gentlemen, ladies, we got a bunch of sugar honey iced tea to talk about. Don Lemon Juice had AOC on. He went on Jimmy Kimmel and ran his mouth. So you know I got to get on this case. Billie Eilish is the dumbest person on planet Earth on stolen land. Mamdani is taking New York down the toilet bowl. Democrats in Virginia are getting what they deserve because they're raising taxes on everything. But before we talk about any of that, I got an update of people getting arrested for what they did against me at UC Davis. Welcome to the Officer Tatum Show.
If you don't believe that we are in a fight today, you're sleeping under a rock. If you get hit and you lay down and you cry and you fold up in the corner, definitely you will not win the fight. We show up to win. Our culture needs a lot of you young people in here to step up and stand out. There is nothing or no principality, power, division, devil can stop us when we're united. They can only get you when you're divided. When I see the American flag, I see us progressing to something that can be awesome and great. And if you don't plan on winning then, you might as well go on today.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies, welcome back to the Officer Tatum Show. Hey, I want to make sure that you guys know I have a podcast on the podcast network. It's the Officer Tatum Show on there. The Officer Tatum on every platform you can think about on social media. Also, people love my Substack. So all you have to do is go to the Officer Tatum on Substack. You'll see my beautiful picture there. And I want to tell you guys about Verdict. It's official. It's live. This is the not guilty. You see that reflection on there? We got that fall going on there. That looks good and it tastes incredible. I can't believe it. And for everybody that got it, because a couple thousand of y'all got y'all's ordered in just yesterday and probably coming in today, make sure you go to verdictreservespirits.com, verdictreservespirits.com. We'll put the link in the description section. And let us know what you think about the bourbon. Give us your verdict. Is it good? Is it not good? Well, I know it's good. The first one we got on there, 5 stars. I can't see how anybody's competing with Verdict. And I want to know the difference if you like the guilty or not guilty. Best bourbon on the market. And you will be able to attest to that as soon as you get yours. Now, I got a caveat. We are going to have 100 signed bottles. Only the people who have purchased or the people who are on our email list are going to have access to get those bottles. I'm not promoting it to the public. I'm going to give first dibs to everybody that has either purchased or anybody that's on our email list. So go on. If you don't see the email list box, we'll have it available on the website tomorrow. We have our website developer do it. But you have to be on our email list to get it. 100 bottles, I'm signing them, and they're going to be exclusive. I want you guys to understand that this company, Verdict, is going to blow up. This is going to be the biggest, the best bourbon in the entire country. I'm telling you, I've tried them. None of them compare to Verdict, especially at the price point. And make sure that you drink responsibly. Make sure that you're 21 and over before you ever think about visiting the website, because there's no purpose of you getting it if you're going to abuse it, okay? Abusing alcohol or anything is a sin. If you're going to have a little sip and you do it responsibly, you're fine. But if you go to abuse it, like food or anything else, that's when the Lord has got a problem with you, okay? So let's talk about UC Davis, because some of y'all may not remember. You probably just started following me. I quasi got attacked on UC Davis. And I say I quasi got attacked because they didn't want that smoke with me, because they would be taking naps. But what they did was they went to Turning Point event and they tore up our tent and they took it and they assaulted a lady and some other people. And the police was just sitting there watching. I told them, like, bro, I'm going to have to engage. Y'all going to see on the video, I go to the guy, they slapped the lady in the head, and the cops are right here. And I'm like, are you guys going to do anything? Or I'm going to have to go and be the, I was going to say the Dragon Slayer. I don't know what I've been and said something crazy. I was going to go there and just give him a good night's sleep during the day. That's all I wanted to do, because the police didn't want to do anything, to be quite honest. So you're going to see what happened. I'm going to show you guys what happened to keep you up to speed, and then I'm going to give you the update on individuals that have been charged, and they should have been charged a long time ago, and everybody associated should have been charged. There's no place that makes sense for you to be able to bludgeon and intimidate people for just speaking the truth. It's crazy to me that they let this happen, but Roll the clip.
Well, it's unique that UC Davis is by far the most violent campus that I've ever been to.
Video circulating on social media showing a heated demonstration at UC Davis.
Unfortunately, a group, which I don't know where they came from, I don't know what they go as, they're dressed in all black, they got masks on, you can't even see their eyes, and they come onto the campus in a coordinated effort and just completely destroy our tent.
The student-ran conservative group Turning Point USA hosting an event with Speaker Brendan Tatum.
There was a lady that had already got punched before I intervened, and I ran to the cop and said, look, man, the guy just hit her in the head. They're like, are you guys going to help us, or we're going to have to defend ourselves here because we don't know what they come to do?
In the video, you can see Tatum step in and push some of the people back. University police also confirming at least one person was hit during the incident.
I'm not going to lie, it did bring like a sense of like what's going to happen. There was just a lot of unsureness with our safety.
UC Davis sophomore Samantha Murphy tells KCRA3 there's already been rising tensions on campus because of the current political climate.
I've been seeing on like a bunch of social media that there was going to be increased protesting and somewhat riots because of what's going on with the government right now.
The Yolo County District Attorney also speaking out against the violent protest.
This is totally unacceptable. The conduct of those attackers to try and take away the free speech of those students out there is absolutely hateful, and it's reprehensible. It's also felony conduct.
He says they're working with local law enforcement and the FBI to track down these suspects.
The individuals involved are all facing potential felony charges, which carries up to 3 years imprisonment.
Despite a difficult start to the event, Tatum says it actually ended successfully.
Yeah, it's very interesting, the hostility, because after having a conversation with some individuals on campus, we agree. So the hostility was not well placed. They thought I believed something I did not believe. So to see the intolerance that we saw on campus, for the most part, was kind of disheartening.
At UC Davis, Danica Hill, KCRA 3 News.
And there's this. The school's chancellor released a statement today saying in part.
Danica Hill did an incredible job. She was absolutely incredible. I was nervous that she worked with UC Davis, like the local paper there, and I was like, you know, is this girl going to try to make us look bad? You know, so I gave the interview to her, and she was incredible. And a young black girl, and which was also like, is she really, you know, the people of the mailing and fall for the leftist stuff all the time. But she did an incredible job. I just want to give a shout out to her because she was a person of her word. She said, I'm going to be very fair and impartial reporting on it. And so I did the interview, and I would love to do an interview with her anytime because I believe that she's a true journalist. All right, now, after all that happened, you see what the chancellor said and all of that stuff. And I was talking to these people when they were out there on campus, and they were really being weak, to be honest. You guys didn't see the video, but like after all of that pushing and shoving and stuff, they had about 30 cops come and surround us, and we kind of finished the conversation. But they should have did that at the beginning. And I'll tell you this, when they had the 30 cops around us, they said if that group comes back, they're going to make us leave. They're not going to protect us. They're not going to use force or anything. They're just going to make us leave. I'm like, that's the whole purpose of y'all being here. That's what you signed up for. I was a cop, so I know what I signed up for. These people have a right to free speech. The thing is that if it was a bunch of trans, two-spirited, black lesbians, they would be fighting to protect them and their free speech. If it was on MLK birthday and black people were out there and white supremacists were doing the same thing, the cops would be willing to die for these people's freedom. But because you're conservative, they don't really have that same energy for you. But here's the update. Roll the clip.
A second person is now facing charges in connection to a protest that turned violent last year on UC Davis's campus. Last April, conservative student group Turning Point USA hosted Speaker Brendan Tatum at the campus quad. Tatum says a group of people dressed in black and masks destroyed his tent, and a woman was also hit during the altercation. The Yolo County DA's office says 22-year-old Chloe Peterson is now being charged with battery and conspiracy to commit a riot. Another 22-year-old, Joanne Sotke, is facing the same charges. She was arraigned in November.
These people were so weak, y'all. I ain't gonna even lie. I was like, I'm finna. My wife, somebody told my wife that I was involved in that, and she go, Brandon is probably excited about this. Brandon's getting a little excited. He probably having a good time. He been waiting for these little weirdos to try to attack him on campus so he can make sure you use the least amount of force necessary to execute a citizen's arrest. That's what Brandon was trying to do. Now let's go to Don Lemon Juice. The man with the man on the back of him. He need to get a backpack with another man on it. So let's talk about this idiot. And let's keep it 100. I would not have a problem with Don Lemon Juice if he was actually a journalist and he actually was doing journalistic things, exercising his First Amendment. Even though I don't like him, I wouldn't say anything because it wouldn't matter. Why would I want a man to get arrested and go to jail for something he didn't do? This fool wasn't outside the church observing what was going on and interviewing people. This fool was in the church. It's like for instance, I'll say this again, and I'm gonna play this clip. On January 6th, how many people did they allow to be journalists on January 6th? They deemed everybody an insurrectionist. They did not give them credit for saying, I'm just going in the Capitol and reporting on what's going on. They were arresting people and didn't care. This is no different, dude. They used the FACE Act that you violated in a church. All right, let's listen to Don Lemon Juice on Kimmel Show, which is irrelevant. I've never watched a show a day in my life. Roll the clip.
And on January 18th, is that correct? You were covering a protest at a church in St. Paul, Minnesota, an anti-ICE protest. Apparently there's a pastor at the church who's also a local ICE official, which is, I think, just as Jesus would want. And I believe we have some B-roll. Protesters interrupted the Sunday service, and you followed them in. You interviewed various people in the church, and afterward, well, you were arrested. Now, first I want to ask you, is there a difference between whether those protesters had the right to go into a church and whether a credentialed journalist like yourself had the right to go in and cover them going into the church?
Well, listen, obviously I'm in the middle of this, so I can't say a lot. There's a lot that I cannot say, but what I will say is that I'm not a protester. I went there to be a journalist. I went there to chronicle and document and record what was happening. I was following that one group around, and so that's what I did. I reported on them, and so, but I do think that there is a difference between a protester and a journalist.
So the next day, Trump reposts something from someone saying that you should be arrested, you should be sentenced in prison for violating the FACE Act. And at this point, are you thinking, oh, I might get arrested?
Well, not until they started, you know, the drip, drip, drip of people starting to talk about it. I think Todd Blanche and Pam Bondi and all those folks talked about it. And here's the interesting thing, though, is that after that, you know, I retained an attorney. And the attorney reached out to them and said, basically, I understand that you have an interest because your folks have been talking about it. And so if you are serious about this, then let's do it the right way. He's perfectly willing to self-report it, which means turn yourself in. And so we don't have to go through this whole rigmarole, and never heard back from them.
That is customary in a situation like this, that someone would be allowed to turn themselves in.
Yeah, people who are accused of much worse things than I am accused of doing, is they are allowed the courtesy. I mean, Donald Trump was allowed the courtesy to turn himself in.
Quit lying. They tried to break in Mar-a-Lago and did all kind of crazy stuff. They went to perp walk Donald Trump. They perp walked him, and they got him in the thing and got him a mugshot. I haven't seen Don Lemon's mugshot. Have you? I haven't seen his mugshot. So, but the president of the United States got a mugshot. You know, and the crazy thing is that Don Lemon, these people are so disingenuous. Don Lemon cannot make a comparison to Donald Trump. Donald Trump was the president of the United States. He was still protected by Secret Service. So how do you arrest a person protected by Secret Service? So the nuance and caveats that go along with a former president or a current president is very different than a regular citizen who is not protected by the government. There has to be an arrangement for transport and everything, because he can't just drive down there. He has to have Secret Service transfer him down there. So, you know, it's a lot different. Roll the clip.
When he was.
That's right.
He did, yeah.
And so then the DOJ goes around and tries to find, and correct me if I have any of this wrong, some judges to charge you. And the judges say, no, we're not going to do that.
I think it was 2 different judges and an appeals court. I think so. It was 3 altogether.
And then they find a grand jury.
Right.
And are you familiar with how that happens? Like, how do they find this group of people who are willing to bring charges against you?
I don't know. I'm not that, astute with it, but at least I don't know the process that well because I'm not an attorney. But, I assume that they figure out who the folks are and they send it to them. And then they write up the indictment as to what they are, what they want charged. And then they give it to them. But you can write whatever you want to in an indictment. As I've been doing some research, you can say whatever you want. And for, even if you lie about it, prosecutors can pretty much say what they want with impunity. And,
all right,
and they don't face any sort of consequence.
So time out. I just wanted to clear this up because he definitely don't, or he don't know what he's talking about, or he's misrepresenting what the truth is. There's a process in the legal system. You could go to a magistrate and try to get them to sign your probable cause statement to arrest him. You have to articulate what laws were violated before you can bring it before anybody. Activist judges, in my opinion, or maybe the judges just don't want to touch it because the precedent has been set in situations like this. I get it. But the next step is to go to a grand jury of your peers. And then what they do is they evaluate the legitimacy of what the claim is. And if people, your peers, decide that the legitimacy of the claims that are being presented are reasonable, then they will formally indict you. And then they can have the authority to go and arrest you for your charges. It's not like a random, like you just go and say, this person is guilty of these crimes. Yes, you're guilty. No, there's an evaluation, there's a standard, there's a checks and balances portion of that. Now, it's easier to get indicted for things, so it's not as hard the indictment process at a grand jury is not the same as a jury trial. The burden of proof and all that stuff is a lot more detailed. There's a lot more information that has to be disclosed. There's cross-examination. There's a lot of other things that go in a jury trial than a grand jury indictment. So it is easier to indict people, right? You can indict people depending on how you frame it. You can indict somebody that may not be formally convicted at some point. So Don Lemon may have a point if he says that the threshold for indictment is lower, but you can't say because other judges didn't prosecute you or sign the warrant for your arrest, that means that somehow you are innocent. I don't think that's the case whatsoever. Roll the clip.
So take us through what happened. It was Thursday night when they came to get you, right? Okay.
When they got me.
You're here in L.A.
When the popo came.
Yeah.
You got to laugh at something, right? But look, it's very serious. I had gone to, I was here to cover the Grammys. I was going to do the red carpet. And I had gone to the Black Music Collective event that night, where the importance of Black music and artists and whatever. And the reason I cover it is because of the First Amendment, the freedom of expression, and the art of music is part of that. And then I'd gone to the Spotify party, and it's all young people, and they're like, Mr. Lemon, oh my God, I love watching you on TikTok. And I'm like, wow, that's different than my grandma loves watching you on CNN, so it's a whole new audience. And I got back to the hotel. I walked in I had my swag bag from the thing, and I was walking up to the room, and I pressed the elevator button, and all of a sudden I feel myself being jostled, and people trying to grab me and put me in handcuffs, and I said, what are you doing here? And they said, we came to arrest you. And I said, who are you? And then finally they identified themselves, and I said, if you are who you are, then where's the warrant? And they didn't have a warrant, so they had to wait for someone from outside, an FBI guy, to come in to show me a warrant on a cell phone. And by that time, I was like trying to, figure out what was going on to get my bearings, and they dropped all my stuff. My glasses had fallen on the floor. I'm like, I can't read that. So they had to pick my glasses up, and I read it, and still, what does that mean? So, and then there was a bunch of guys, and they took me outside. FBI guys were out there. I mean, it had to be maybe a dozen people, which is
What he's saying is not accurate. He's embellishing some of this. There's no way in the world that Don Lemon is a threat enough where they got to do a sneak attack. I'm pretty sure when he went in the elevator, they acknowledged, hey, Don Lemon, you're under arrest. We need you to put your hands behind your back or whatever. There's no jostling him and throwing him up against the wall and not even identifying themselves. That didn't happen. And then the warrant part. You don't need you don't need a warrant for them to arrest you. They don't have to show you a warrant. I guarantee you what happened was they arrested him and he said, I want to see the warrant. And they said, okay, we'll show you the warrant. But they don't have to show you the warrant to arrest you. They don't have to. So I bet you $1 million they accommodated his request to see the warrant. So they got a guy with a phone and showed it to him like, here, Don Lemon, here's the warrant. So you don't have any question whatsoever. But there is not a scenario where they arrested him and then they had to go show him a warrant somehow, or the arrest wasn't final. It's like, now they arrest you and they may have the courtesy of showing you the warrant or not. They don't have to show you the warrant. I don't know what people are thinking, but anyway, roll the clip.
Waste, Jimmy, of resources, because I had told them weeks before, and maybe once or twice, that we would, I think my attorney tried to contact them once, maybe twice, that I could just go in and it would have to be the folks who were just working there that day, and they wouldn't have to have all these people following me around.
It's more than just a waste of resources. So they grab you and they take you where?
Well, you're right about more than just a waste of resources. They want that. They want to embarrass you. They want to intimidate you. They want to instill fear, and so that's why they did it that way. They took me down to a holding place in the federal courthouse.
And they give you mugshots, strip search, all of that stuff?
No strip search, but mugshot, fingerprints, the whole 9 yards, twice.
Do they put you in a cell?
I was in a holding room.
You're in a holding room?
Yes.
And how long are you in that holding room?
From about midnight, 12:30 to 1 or so the next day.
Who did you make your one phone call to?
Here's the interesting thing. I didn't have a one phone call. I never had a one phone call.
Wait a minute. I watch a lot of TV.
I know. That's right. I asked them, do I get my one phone call, Jimmy? They said, no, you don't. You get to talk to your attorney whenever. So that wasn't until the next day. But I tell you how I got it out. I had my Apple Watch on in my phone. And I called my husband. I said, hey, Siri, call Tim. And he was asleep. Went to his voicemail. And then I said, hey, Siri, call Abby Lowell, who's my attorney, and went to his voicemail. He was traveling back from someplace. And finally, I got into the front of an FBI agent's truck, and they had the handcuffs on me. And my bracelet, I had on a bracelet that my husband bought me for our wedding, which was this diamond bracelet, and it kept getting caught. And it was kind of hurting, and they said they'd take it off. And I said, do you mind taking that up to my husband in room blah, 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 blah. And one of the FBI agents said, sure, and took it up, and that's how my husband found out. Otherwise, no one would have known where I was.
Wow.
Time out. I want y'all to pay attention to this. Somehow I ended up in the front seat. No, they were accommodating you. You just mentioned that you used your watch to call people and they didn't answer. They let you use your Apple Watch to call your husband. He didn't answer. They let you call your attorney. He didn't answer. They let you sit in the front seat. And then they took your property to your husband in the hotel room. Quit acting like they were treating you some type of way, bro. If they were treating you some type of way, you'd be in the back, they'd have took your watch off. They'd have made you take your watch off so you can't communicate. They treated you fairly. And you act like they didn't is crazy to me. There's a couple more clips, and then we're going to move to the next topic. Roll it.
Mention the act of courtey that FBI agent extended to you. Were you treated well?
So not by the guys that arrested me, obviously. Right. But, not all federal agents are the same. And the guys who work for Homeland Security and the FBI are not the guys that you see out there on ICE, who have 47 days of training, who are, violating people's due process rights. They are completely different people. And I have always had a very good relationship with law enforcement, especially federal law enforcement, because I used to do these franchises when I was in local news called, FBI's Most Wanted, right? The Alabama's Most Wanted, or New York's Most Wanted, or whichever market I was in. And so these guys were professional, they were courteous, and they were kind, but not the original Homeland Security guys that took me in.
When did you realize that this was a very, very big story?
I had no idea. I had a little bit of an idea when I asked to use the restroom in, sort of early in the morning. I wasn't sure what time. I didn't have a watch or anything, so I didn't know. And so I go out, and they open the door to the room where the agents, they're housed, or their office, and there was CNN on a monitor. And on the thing I could see, former CNN anchor Don Lemon arrested in Los Angeles. And I was like, and I said to the guy, I was like, is that, he goes, I said, is that happening a lot? He goes, you've been on all morning.
Yeah.
And he says, this is a big deal.
That's
but I still didn't,
weird.
I still didn't know how big a deal it was, Jimmy. I swear to you. I walked out. My attorney said to me on the phone, finally, when I got out, he said, I prepared a statement. You can rewrite it and edit it, but you need to deliver the statement. I'm like, deliver it to who? Like, what are you talking about? And they said, the people who are waiting outside. And so I go, my husband and I walk out, and I see this, like...
Time out. All right, I'm done listening to this fool. But I will say this. I think he has a clip with AOC, which I know y'all want to get to that part. But why is he lying and saying he didn't think it's a big deal? You just said that before you ever got arrested, you saw Pam Bundy talking about you. That is the head of the government. These people are top law enforcement in the country. That's people in the cabinet. They're talking about you on the news. Your attorney reached out to them, and you don't think it's a big deal. All right, let get to AOC. What a waste. She kind of cute a little bit, but I think if she was a conservative, she'd be cute. It's like that devil, that smug, dark cloud over leftist stupidity. It's like when they start talking, they start looking uglier. Like she looks like a fool, how stupid she is. But I'm going to let her talk, and then we're going to go on to the next topic. Roll the clip.
They know that they can't go after all of us. They know that they can't go after everyone with a cell phone. They know that they can't go after every single journalist who's trying to cover these stories. And so what they want to do is that they want to make an example out of one person that's highly visible, like or has a position of leadership, like Trump. You or like Georgia Ford, Trump. In order to get people who are trying to do similar things to self-censor, to self-silence, to be afraid that, well, if it happened to him, then it could happen to me, so I'm not going to do it. Because they know that we outnumber them, and they know that they can't go after all of us. So I think I just want to say how important it is, the example that you're setting by not backing down, that, you know, you got out and the first thing you did was to start the show right back up again, because what they want you to do
Shut
is
this woman up. She got like 3 seconds left, y'all, so she not saying nothing. You got out and you started your show back up. You're not in trouble for doing a podcast. You're not in trouble for being a journalist. You're in trouble because you took into a church harassing people. You coordinated with them to do the harassment. You justified what they did. You said, you called the pastor a white supremacist. You advocated for the violence. You weren't impartial. That's where the line is drawn. If you were impartially covering something, you're fine. He told you to leave the church, and you didn't. And you sat there and still harassed and interviewed people. I'm telling you this. I would stand up for Don Lemon if he was outside of the church and he did everything he did outside of the church when they went in. And he got his camera and looked in the church and said, look, they're in there doing that. And as the parishioners come out, he interviewed them. God is my witness. I'd say, Don Lemon, everything you did was fine. They shouldn't, Donald Trump, y'all don't do that because it's going to backfire on us because they're going to do it to us. It's not right. Don Lemon did the right thing. But that's not what he did. He coordinated with this girl. He kissed her on the cheek, got food for him. He knew that they were going to go do it, and he knew, like, for instance, think about this for a minute. I just want it to drive home because some people still believe in Don Lemon makes sense. If I know, just say I know a guy is going to go into a mosque and the guy's going to disrupt the mosque and he's going to call the imam a terrorist and he's going to disrupt all the people praying and worshiping. And I know he's going to do it. And I know it's a crime to do it. But I know they're going to commit a crime because I know it's not. Like, listen, y'all, when he was on Jimmy Kimmel, he said, there's a difference between a journalist going in that church and other people going to that church. So Don Lemon, you knew that what they were doing was a crime. You cannot facilitate and I don't know, give tacit approval to a crime and then interject yourself into the crime. You have to remove yourself from a crime. Oh, that's like somebody saying, "Hey, I'm gonna go in the bank and I'm gonna rob the bank because I know they have some vulnerabilities." And you're a journalist and you're like, "All right, hey y'all, I'm getting ready to cover this incident. I can't tell you what's about to happen, but I'm getting ready to cover this." And somehow you go in the bank and they rob the bank. You knew they were gonna rob the bank. You participated in it to some degree, and then you interview people about getting robbed when you already knew they were gonna rob it. All right, Billie Eilish. The dummy of the year. Let's play the clip of what she said. Here's our post that went viral on Instagram because the Native Americans came out and they called her out. I think it's Tongva tribe that owned the land under Billie Eilish's mansion, slammed her for stolen land message at the Grammys. You can't make this up. Listen to what she said, just in case y'all missed it. Roll the clip.
No one is illegal on stolen land.
All right, time out. She saw some dumb bluehead nut job say that on TikTok, so she didn't know what to say. So she's there. She got to say something, right? She can't shut the front door because she don't know what she's talking about. So she got to say something. And she saw a little. There's no elite. That's the stupidest sugar honey iced tea I ever heard in my life. Now, let's put that into play. So I wrote on X, and my little caption got shared everywhere. It was like kind of like viral, right? And so anyway, y'all can read that off the page, but even the New York Post and others thought that what I said made sense, right? Let's go to the next clip. Now, this is the news coverage of this and also the coverage of the Tongva tribe that came out against Billie Eilish. Roll the clip.
Billie Eilish, she says America's just made up all this land that was taken unjustly from people, but is the singer also living on stolen land is the question. Well, according to a local tribe out in California, she built her mansion on property that belongs to Native Americans. We talked to the Tongva tribe out in Southern Cal who says she's living on their property, saying this in part as the first people of the greater Los Angeles basin. We do understand that her home is situated on our ancestral land. Eilish hasn't contacted her tribe directly regarding her property. So back in 2020, comedian Ricky Gervais was ahead of this. He said, please do not get up here and use the stage as a platform for politics, saying in part, you're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. Now mocking Grammy winners because he said they're doing it again, saying they're still not listening.
And they're not listening. You know, I don't know if the PR is pressuring them to make statements. I really don't know what's happening here because, like, I have lived a pretty dynamic life. I'm on the upper end of my life financially, right? Meaning that I'm a little bit above upper middle class, probably, I would say. And so I'm not familiar with what's going on in South Phoenix. I grew up in an environment very similar, and I had my ins and outs with it, so I know of it. But I'm not out of touch even as much as these celebrities. Like, they're super rich, and they're doing their own thing. They're not even worried about what's going on. They clearly don't know what's going on. Listen to how they talk. But it's just crazy to me because if Billie Eilish would have said, I'm going to sell my mansion, now I think she'll be a stewhead for doing it. But if she said, you know what, I really embody nobody's illegal on stolen land. So if somebody come to her house, she can't call the police because nobody's even illegally at her house because it's on stolen land. Or if she sold her house and gave the money to the Tongva tribe, at least I would respect that. I'd say, you're an idiot and you so stupid you virtue signal your way out of money, but at least you're a woman of your word and your conviction. So I will listen to you say that stupidity to me if you were really about that. And in reality, she's not. All right, I want to play Caroline Levitt's real quick, her statement about it, and then we're going to move on. Clip 304, roll it.
of Bad Bunny saying Ice Out?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's very ironic and frankly sad to see celebrities who live in gated communities with private security, with millions of dollars to spend protecting themselves, trying to just demonize, law enforcement, public servants who work for the United States government to enforce our nation's laws. And you didn't hear this same type of uproar from celebrities in Hollywood when the previous administration allowed an invasion of our nation's borders and allowed innocent women and girls like Jocelyn Nungaray and Laken Riley to be killed and raped and murdered at the hands of people who should have never been in our country in the first place. And now you have law enforcement who are simply trying to do their jobs to remove violent predators like those who took the lives of innocent Americans. There was no uproar from Hollywood and the elitist crowd at the Grammys then, but there is now, and I think that speaks to the unfortunate irony that we're seeing in Hollywood today.
Yeah, you know, I would have respected them a little more if they did both. We're going to talk about Mamdani real quick in my last 20 minutes of the show. But before I get there, like, if they would have said, Laken Riley, let's give a moment of silence for Laken Riley and all those who have lost their lives to bad illegal aliens in this country, ones who shouldn't be in this country. Boom. And then they could go on their virtue singing about ICE. Like, how do you guys sleep at night and live with yourself knowing that you skipped over people who were raped, women who were young women raped and murdered by illegal aliens, people who shouldn't even been in this country? You just, that don't bother you as much as people getting arrested, somebody getting killed after being a nut? Like, Laken Riley's situation where she's begging for her life on a 911 call as she's getting raped by somebody. She's somebody's daughter, and she had a bright future. I think she was going to nursing school or something like that, or she aspired to be a nurse. You telling me that all of you celebrities, not one of you guys, have thought about her once? Even the black girl, that's another virtue signal. You should be supporting the black, financially stable. That's the word I wanted to use, but I'm gonna say financially explosive city in the entire United States of America. And you put a dumb commie that have never probably never even managed his own bank account, running an entire city with the economy that's bigger than most countries in the world. This is what y'all get being stupid. Roll the clip.
That's right, we know about your mom. Now listen, we was with you, Zohran. We voted for you, Zohran. We advocated for you, Zohran. We advocated for you. You ain't getting up and get up in there and lie to us. You lied, Zohran. Shame, Zohran. Shame. Shame. Your first lie was CCRB, Zohran. Shame. CCRB had the final say, Zohran. Shame.
These people's protests so weak, it's crazy. But anyway, that's the governor's mansion. That's the government property. They have a right to be on that land and say whatever they want because that's the people's property. All right? But they got gates and guards and all kind of other stuff because I guess people are illegal on stolen land. However, when you heard them saying, I saw your mama, this is what they're referring to. And I want to play this. Now, I want the people to know that we did our research on this. And a lot of this is fake. But I wanted to show you what's being said and show you the things that are fake. But I at least want you to hear the reason why people are saying that his mama was involved with Jeffrey Epstein. Some of it is real, some of it is fake. I'm going to decipher the difference for you, or I'm going to determine the difference for you. Roll the clip.
Wait a second, Patriot Dad. Are you telling me that Zohran Mamdani's mom's name is in the Epstein files? Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Zohran Mamdani's mother is a film director by the name of Mira Nair. And yes, Mira Nair's name is showing up in the Epstein files. So I decided to take a screen recording of her route so you can actually see the document itself. And in this document, you'll see Peggy Siegel is emailing Jeffrey Epstein. And she says, I just left Ghislaine Maxwell's townhouse. After party for a film. Bill Clinton and Jeff Bezos and Gene Peruzzi and director Mira Nair are in attendance. This Mira Nair, Zohran Mamdani's mother, held an after party for a movie that she directed at Ghislaine Maxwell's townhouse back in 2009. And I'll remind you, 2009 is not that long after Jeffrey Epstein accepted a plea deal for the things that he was doing to underage girls down in southern Florida. in which Ghislaine Maxwell was named as a conspirator in that case. So these people, Mira Nair, Bill Clinton, Jeff Bezos, and everyone else that was there for this after party, they knew that when they were hanging out with Ghislaine Maxwell, who, by the way, was one of the best friends and business partners and everything else of Jeffrey Epstein. Question for you. Why would Mira Nair be associated with that circle of people going all the way back to 2009? And another question for you. How is it possible that somebody who is hanging out with the Epstein orbit with Ghislaine Maxwell, her son ends up as the mayor of New York City?
All right, let's touch on this. It appears that the email is real. Let's put the email up there. This part seems to be real. I think this came directly from the file, and it is almost exactly what he said. Now, let me articulate this very clearly. Just because a person is associated with Epstein does not necessarily mean that they're involved in anything nefarious. However, the same amount of outrage that they projected at Donald Trump because his name had dared be mentioned in anything associated, even though he ain't never been at their house or nothing like this, but his name was mentioned, they have a conniption. I think that's the right word. They're losing their minds. They're engaging in a kerfuffle. All of these things are occurring, but then Zohran Mamdani's mom is associated or listed or named on a legal document as being in attendance at an Epstein party with Ghislaine Maxwell. And it's not, nobody cares. Like, they're not concerned. But if Trump is in it, they're concerned. If Don Jr.'s name was in it, they'll be flipping off the tables. Okay, let's get to the next clip. And this is pictures that are circulating that have been proven to be fake. I don't think we proved this one to be fake, but unless you're Stevie Wonder, you should be able to see that this is a fake picture, right? This one is definitely fake and is proven to be fake. And let me just show you where the look comes from. It appears that Jeff Bezos and Gates are in the same generation. It seems like Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell are in a separate generation from them two, meaning that it seems like that picture is a little older for Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and it's a lot younger for Bezos and Gates. However, Bill Clinton is from like 2 years ago. So it looked like they got a picture from people living in different dispensations of time. None of these people are alive at the same time on this same picture. And so when you see that, you go, okay. And also, why would they be out in the middle of the street with those people and Zohran Mamdani and his mama? It looked like they're out at night. Everybody's dressed up. Why would Zohran Mamdani, as a 13-year-old boy, run into all of these people and take a picture with them? So people be making up stuff. I just want to make sure y'all were clear. This is fake. The other picture's probably fake, but the document is legitimate. But it has nothing to do with this fool running New York into a hellhole. Let me just express this to you before we get out of here. I got about 16 minutes left. I want you guys to see what the public is experiencing with just a few months of his leadership. Roll the clip.
A severe cold front continues to bear down on our city. Today is our 11th consecutive day of below freezing weather, and we could very well be in the middle of the longest period of consecutive sub-32-degree weather in our city's entire history.
Yeah, you're in New York, bro.
Without temperatures rising above freezing, snow has hardened into blocks of ice. But the greatest danger posed by this sustained cold is to vulnerable New Yorkers who remain exposed to the elements. As of this morning, 16 of our fellow New Yorkers have passed away outside during this brutal stretch of cold. In 13 of these cases, preliminary findings indicate that hypothermia played a role, and 3 of these deaths appear to be overdose deaths.
Time out.
We await final results from the medical examiner's office.
This is what I want people to understand. Listen very clearly to what he said, and I'm going to continue to play it. Just give me about 40 seconds. He said X amount of people died. He designated that hypothermia played a part. And then he designated that these were overdoses. Now, I would like to see the numbers in the medical record, or at least the medical death certificate, and what did the doctor sign off on? Because every one of them could have been overdose. Every one of them could have been an overdose. Every one of them could have been drug-related. Every one of them could have been because people had pre-existing conditions. But he wanted to lessen the blow by saying some of these were hypothermia. Well, what other way are you dying in the street if it's not hypothermia? He said only 13. What other way are you dying in the street in a blizzard or a cold storm if it's not hypothermia? So everybody just mysteriously died. 13 of them are hypothermia and 6 of them are overdoses. No, probably what happened is that all of them overdosed. And some of them overdosed and then they died because they were passed out in the middle of the cold and they never woke up. But you know, these people like to play with your mind and say all these crazy things. Because you shouldn't even attribute these people to the cold weather deaths if they were not experiencing any effects from the cold weather that caused them to die. Why even mention them? But we know that he's trying to fluff the numbers. All these people are just, it's a everyday thing in New York of people dying from ODing. And the cold weather didn't have nothing to do with these people dying. All right, continue.
Office and will inform New Yorkers as we learn more. Each of these lives lost is a tragedy. My heart was with the family of those mourning their loved ones.
Oh, that's the end of the clip. Now, look, here's the blankets. This fool got this all printful. He got, the blanket seems almost see-through. Bro, where did you get these blankets at? Here are the little blankets that he giving to homeless people. The one blanket ain't even covering that person's shoulders. Like, maybe these aren't the blankets he's giving people. Maybe these are blankets, I don't know if we verify that. Maybe these blankets that somebody's giving them as mockery of Zohran Mamdani. Because them blankets won't even keep your feet warm in below freezing weather. They look thin. From here, they're glossy, they look thin. All right, if that wasn't enough to show you how bad it is, the trash that has been mounting up because of poor management by the state or by the city is a problem. Now, I'm not trying to be superfluous in this. Could this be a fluke tragedy? Because you can't control the weather. You know what they want Mamdani to be the weatherman. But I do think that structures are not put in place, or he don't know how to put structures in place that this would not happen in case of an emergency situation like this. But this is just a glimpse of how this trash is just piling up on the streets. And I bet it stink. And who God knows when they're going to be able to come out and actually fix this trash problem. It's very interesting. Now, also, let's look at some footage of people getting snowed in. And there's a couple commentators and one celebrity that's walking in New York that alludes to the fact that how ridiculous this is. Roll the clip.
Great job, Mamdani. Is that your name? Is that how you say your name? Mamdani? Go suck your Mamdani. Because what the f*** is this? Why the f*** is it 7 days later and still can't park, can't drive, can't do shit out here? What trucks was you talking about was cleaning? Where were they? Huh?
This message is from Mayor Mamdani. What the f*** is this? What the f***? Oh, go across the other street. Oh, I can't because there's a huge pile of snow and I can't cross the street on either side. So shout out to the Upper Baby, by the way, because this is the only way I'm getting through this. My son is not very comfortable in this. What is this? This is not a path for people to... What if I was in a wheelchair? What is this? This is... The snow was 5 days ago. Figure it the f*** out.
If I had to grade the city on how well they did cleaning up the snow, I'd give them a 0. Should we do a texture check? Frozen solid. They cleaned up the snow like it's a small town. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, we're just gonna like leave it here. There's not many people here, you know?
Like, this is ridiculous. We can't push our daughter in the stroller because the sidewalks are still not plowed.
New York really said this is really all y'all need. They said y'all need this much space. And then guess what? It's gonna go right back into the snow. Watch. I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet, y'all. Look. And I'm back into this for the next. Oh, God. You know, New York has jokes. And you be asking us all the time why we pissed the fuck off. This is why.
Michael Rappaport has something to say. Roll it.
Look at this shit. Look at this shit. This poor bastard ain't getting out until the spring. Look at this. Dirt a week after the snowstorm. Look at this dirty shit hole. Look at this. I don't know what this guy's gonna do. This guy, call your insurance company. Look at this dirt. Where's the mayor to clean this up? They got garbage everywhere, dirty snow. What do you do with this? Where's your shovel now, Mamdani? Look at this. You know how many people fall, break their ankles? Look at this. This is New York. Start spreading the news. And this is on the Upper East Side. 3 minutes from where the mayor lives. Look at this guy. Look at this. Look at this. This guy's never getting. Look at this. Look at this. It's the reality of New York City. 1 month. Where's the salt? Where's the shovels? Where's the plows? Bullshit, fake. Look at this. Look at this. This is a great look for New York. Look at it. This guy's never getting out. His car's destroyed. This poor bastard with his motor scooter.
So, minus the hyperbolic, intense language and behavior, what he's saying is true. I think it's poor management. But if that clip didn't do it for you, this is going to be the last clip of the day, 5:08. Listen to how the governor is articulating her relationship and her thoughts on Zohran Mamdani after she endorsed this fool to be the mayor. Roll the clip.
So Mayor Mamdani has said that he doesn't think that wealthy people and corporations would actually leave if their taxes go up. Do you disagree with that?
It's not a gamble I want to take because we're already down about $13 billion in revenues from people who did leave our state.
There is a massive fiscal deficit in our city's budget to the tune of at least $12 billion. And it means that the time has come to tax the richest New Yorkers and most profitable corporations.
He says that the state should raise taxes to help him balance his budget. What are you asking the mayor to do?
I met with the mayor and his budget team in my office just days ago, talking about what we can do to help, but also show us where you're making adjustments. But also, do you really have a full picture right now of all the revenues that are coming in? Because we've been stunned by how high the revenues coming in from the Wall Street bonus taxes are. $17 billion more in unanticipated revenue for the state alone. I don't believe in taxing for the sake of taxing. Does not make sense to me. Never has, never will.
Even after she endorsed Mamdani, the tax the rich message from his base of supporters was clear on stage at a Mamdani rally.
But after these revenues come in, and if they're maxed out now on revenues, the mayor has made some cuts and demonstrated to you that he's willing to do some of his own work to close that budget hole. Would tax increases be on the table then?
No, I've said they're not.
But if Zohran Mamdani doesn't seem to be getting the message...
He's doing what he has to do, and I'm doing what I have to do.
Are you suggesting that he needs to play to his left-leaning base by calling for tax increases?
No, I was not saying that at all.
Local also says Mamdani's claim this week that the budget crisis is worse than anticipated because of mismanagement by Eric Adams, which Adams denies, changes nothing.
No.
Okay, got it. Do you have any concern that if you don't agree to raise taxes, Mayor Mamdani may not endorse you or might even endorse an opponent?
You know what? The day you start making political calculations and have that interfere with your responsibility to govern a state like New York, 20 million people, is the day you shouldn't be in this job.
She talked like a Republican. Man, this dude is finna tear New York apart. I just think he don't have the skill set. He don't have the maturity. He doesn't have the right methodology. We live in a capitalist society. He's trying to turn into a communist society. The people that voted for him are completely stupid, and they don't understand economics. And they got a guy in there that's going to be there for 6 years, I think, right? I don't know if it's 4 or 6 years for the mayor. Maybe it's 4 years. And that's a lot for a person that has never run anything. Not even to his fault or his detriment or his fault. He was just being ambitious. It is 4 years. He was just being ambitious. Y'all stupid enough to believe in his ambition. I'm telling you, like I was talking to somebody on the phone today and they're saying how there's a huge exodus of high net worth people leaving New York. Like, What do y'all think is going to happen, man? If I was living in New York, and they like in Arizona, if they impose some crazy amount of taxes in Arizona, I'm going to leave Arizona. I'm not going to stay here and just get raked over the coals and taxes. I'm just not going to do it. Anyway, make sure y'all subscribe to all my social media platforms, The Officer Tatum Podcast, The Officer Tatum Show, Substack, The Officer Tatum. Follow me on Freedom Chat, and also make sure you go on and pre-order your verdict. And if you're on the email list and you've purchased, we're going to roll out an email to everybody to give them first dibs on the signed version of verdict. I only signed 100 of them. So somebody is going to be lucky enough to purchase. And I'm telling you now, and I'm going to give you fair warning so you guys can have an equal opportunity to go after it. But somebody is going to have one of the first bottles signed by me of this thing called Verdict, which is going to be the #1 bourbon company in the country. I think this is going to be the #1 bourbon in the country. Once we get in the stores, once we get it in, people are going to be tearing this up. Especially my favorite is the Not Guilty, which is a hint of brown sugar in it. People are going to be turning it up like it's going out of style. Anyway, I love you guys. I appreciate you for watching. I'm getting ready to go to the Open, Waste Management. I'll see you there. I'm out.
Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. I'm a proud American from my birth to the grave. 47